Hello everyone, and on today's episode of Watching Watchmen, we are going to go through some revealing dialogue. One of those people being Dan. Now, Dan is initially introduced to us as an out-of-shape, retired superhero who crawls away in his basement and stays to himself. But if you actually look at the overarching structure of Watchmen, you'll find that he is something more. If you're one of these people who believes Watchmen is just a comic about out-of-shape superheroes that are getting back into it, good for you. This video may not be for you. But if you are one of the people who knows that Alan Moore is an occultist and that he generally works with symbols and archetypal structures, you might want to stick around and hear what I have to say about this. So, even though it is not my favorite line, it is what I believe to be Dan's most revealing line.
Guess I was just more interested in birds and airplanes, mythology.
Or if you want to do it through the graphic novel, on page 217, he says, he always seemed disappointed in me. He wanted me to follow him into banking, but I was just interested in birds and airplanes and mythology. You know, kid stuff. Looking at this quote, we also have to couple it with one from the bottom of the page where he says, as a kid, I read about Pegasus, flying carpets, then later about birds and airplanes. Finally, I mastered in aeronautics and zoology at Harvard. Guess it helped me design this jalopy here. So what he's actually speaking about is he married the two, aeronautics and zoology. Aeronautics being the study of how things travel through the air, and zoology being the biology, psychology, classification of, let's say, the littler things in life. What Dan has managed to do since he got a master's in both of these is he married both of them. And then, as hinted by the word jalopy, he's creating almost a new language or a new way of seeing things, a new way of being. The amazing thing about Dan is that he is paired with Archimedes, who is his ship. And Archimedes is an ancient Greek mathematician, physicist, astronomer, we'll call it, who actually discovered a lot of principles about the laws of physics. And his principles, such as Archimedes' screw, doesn't just apply to physics. You can actually transfer it fairly well to the spiritual realm and get the same results. This is what's fantastic about Dan's character in the whole movie, is Dan sees things differently. Dan has patience, Dan has love, and Dan has a unique outlook. My favorite quote by Dan is,
I remember, no matter how black it got, whenever I looked through those goggles, everything was as clear as day.
This just highlights on how he sees everything and how the way he was raised and what he believes in and what intrigues him colors his view. It's what's unique. And this is actually what's essential for Dan being an archetypal symbol, an archetypal character for the foundation of who a person is. If you want to look at Watchmen through archetypal lenses, it is completely a story about self-development through spiritual means, what to discard through your journey of time, through what shaped you, outside forces, intuition, and other things like that. But with Dan is like the foundation of this because he is linked to Archimedes and Archimedes' laws and principles, and by using the more spiritual stuff and what cannot be seen to navigate our way in life. This also correlates obviously with Dan's redeeming character arc of how he goes from being a blubbering baby in his basement to actually being one of the ones who kind of quote unquote wins Watchmen. Dan's a fantastic character. He's much more important than I think people give him credit for. He has a unique way of looking at the world. And even though his dad wanted him to go into banking, he went and found a different type of resource.